A. All right, so I was just going back. Spoilers, by the way. I forgot to say that. If y'all didn't already figure that out, there's going to be spoilers in this video. Spoilers for, just to be safe, the whole Xenoblade series 1, 2, and 3. No X, sadly, but spoilers for 1, 2, and 3, mainly 3. So if you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. But for those of y'all who are still here, I kind of just wanted to go back over the names for the cutscenes. I was looking back on the names of the cutscenes, and I just watched Yggdrasil's little video about Way Forward being Datamine. So go watch that. I'm gonna link it in the description. Go, you know, show my homie some support. But I kind of just wanted to go back over the cutscene names and just kind of figure out what all of them are about. So I'm gonna go through all of the cutscenes and just kind of explain what all of them could be about and what might happen during them, because my thoughts on some of these have changed drastically after watching Yggdrasil's video and just thinking about it a bit more. But to start, prologue, it's obviously just going to be the basic prologue of the game. I don't really know what the hell that's going to be, because it's literally just a prologue. It's as vague as you can be. Literally anything can happen. But the next one, Ouroboros power, could be when Nea creates the first Ouroboros stone and the first Ouroboros are created. Obviously they're not as strong as the Ouroboros from the base game, our party, where we interlink. This could be just like the basic very first iteration of Ouroboros, and it still needs some tweaking and refining, I guess, but this is the first iteration of Ouroboros. And then next after that is Matthew's past. Now obviously by this point we know the main character of the Wave 4 DLC story is Matthew. He's the founder of House Van Dam, and Matthew's past could just be his upbringing and how he grew up and how he came to be the founder of House Van Dam, or how he got in the predicament that he's in now. Next is relics, and relics could be you know, stumbling upon some relics from the old worlds from Xenoblade 1 and 2, because we know when the worlds collided, not everything was, you know, still there. A lot of stuff got destroyed, and relics, we could have just happened upon some relics of the old worlds as we're going to our next destination, like a nice little side cutscene. Next is Colonies Collide, and this is where we could meet the founders of House Reed and House Ortiz. Was it House? No, I think it was Cassini and Reed. Whatever the two founders were, they were from Kevis and Agnes, and they were fighting, and the founders came upon them and stopped them from fighting, and then they became founders. Those two houses, I forgot exactly which one. I think it's Cassini and Ortiz. But yeah, Colonies Collide. This could be where their two colonies, you know, collide and start fighting. And then the cutscene after that is called To Remain, so it could, you know, it just leads into itself where the To Remain are the two founders. And then the next one is called the Console Duo. This could be two things. This could either be N and M, which is more likely considering N and M, at least N, had a really big role in the whole founder story, since he destroyed the original city, the founders fought him off, and etc. But a very less likely, but still possible, and it's kind of fun to think about, the Console Duo could just be Alvis and Z as Console A and Console Z. Now, I don't think they throw Alvis in that early and just in the middle like that, so it's most likely N and M. Next is called Struggle. This could be the struggle against N and M, considering it comes directly after. This could be the party struggling to fight N and M. And then Training could be after the party lose to them, at least lose to N. They, you know, train to become stronger to fight off Mobius and fight off N for their next encounter. The next cutscene is called Whatever Happens. This could be like a little party cutscene to where they're all talking amongst each other and basically just encourage each other, like, we're going to get stronger, we're going to train, and whatever happens, we will beat Mobius and, that found the city and whatever. Aurora Shelf, that could be an introduction cutscene to a new area like Valak Peak or Capricorn, or a mix between the two, because we know there is a Valak campsite. So we're obviously going to Valak Mountain at some point, and Aurora Shelf could be that entrance cutscene into Valak Mountain, considering, Aurora usually has to do with Arctic tundra, whatever. And the next one is called All Up to You. This one, I'm not sure. It could also just be a little mini cutscene about the party, leaving everything up to Matthew, or not really. Maybe Matthew, he was the original penultimate founder, and he, brought the other founders together. So he's kind of like the leader, which would make sense since he's the protagonist. So they're leaving everything up to him, or at least the majority of stuff up to him. And predictions, that could be predicting, what Mobius is, what N's next move is going to be, predicting how they're going to found the city, if that's even a thought at this point. New soldiers, that's when Rex and Shulk could enter in. And that's when we first get introduced to Rex and Shulk, and they become part of the party. Maybe they're soldiers fighting with the Lost Numbers. Actually, I don't think the Lost Numbers were around then, because the city hadn't been founded yet. But Rex and Shulk could have been fighting with some third party that isn't, related to Kevis or Agnes, and that's when they come in and join the party as the mentors of the two other founders. Perhaps, they're already mentors of the two founders, and then they just meet up with them later. Clockless, this could be, I don't know, maybe everyone freeing themselves from the flame clocks, or a little cutscene about Rex and Noah, or Rex and Shulk not being part of the flame clock system or cycle, so therefore they're clockless. And then traces of battle, this again could be another encounter with N, but this time it's a draw, or they beat N and he retreats. And then the next one after that is called Friends, which could be them celebrating the, triumph over N, or their bond getting stronger after the battle. And this could be leading up to when they finally fuse or interlink into, Ouroboros, considering fusion is a couple cutscenes after that. But after Friends, Taking Flight is the next cutscene, and Taking Flight could be their first attempts to interlinking, or their first attempts to Ouroboros, and they're taking flight, spreading their wings and trying something new. So this could be them trying Ouroboros or interlinking for the first time. Mobius W, now that's one of the ones I'm not really too sure on, and I'm still confused as to what Mobius W has to do with anything, because if you remember, Mobius W was there for a very, very short time, only saying a couple of lines during Ashura's Ascension quest. She wasn't the console of Colony 11, which Ashura was from. I think it's 11 or 15, doesn't really matter. She's not the console of that, but console R is the console of Ashura's colony, but W was also there on the sidelines. Well, I'm not really sure what W has to do with this. And then after that is called Fusion. So up until literally just now, I was thinking fusion could be when the party first fuses together as their form of interlinking, but fusion could also be the interlinking of Mobius and seeing Mobius fuse together for the first time, just like O and P did, or D and J. So maybe console W, Mobius W fuses with a different Mobius, and that's the first fusion we see. And then after that is called What Choice. So maybe after losing a fight to, interlinked Mobius, the party is starting to give up, and they're saying, what choice do we have? We can't go further. This is impossible. They're outstrengthening, is that a term? They're stronger than we are. what choice do we have other than to, you know, give up, or more optimistic, or like what choice do we have other than to keep fighting? If we don't, then Mobius takes control and we all die, or everything goes to shit, something. So like, what choice could be either pessimistic or optimistic? It could go either way. Pioneers, this could be, you know, they're pioneers, maybe they're first starting to think about founding a city, and this could be the first thoughts of them founding a city, or the first steps towards founding a city, because after that, directly after that, is Colony 9. So maybe instead of what, back in Friends or New Soldiers, this is where we meet Shulk for the first time. So we meet Shulk and then Rex later, and Shulk is in Colony 9, and we know this will be Xenoblade 1's Colony 9, considering we will be exploring the Bionis Leg, and the Bionis Leg seems to be like the big main first grassland area we go to. So we'll meet Shulk around halfway through is when we get to Colony 9 and meet Shulk, and then after that is called A Way to Live. Maybe we learn about Shulk's way of living and how he lived in his original world without, you know, the flame clock system, and how he lived under the oppression of Mechon and whatever. And maybe this A Way to Live is how they first start to, you know, found the idea of founding a city where everyone could live in peace away from Mobius, or without having to fight each other, you know, in the War of Kevis and Agnes. Next is Friendship, and this could be where we meet Xenoblade, or Xenoblade 2. This is where we could meet Rex, considering friendship was a very big theme in Xenoblade 2, so this would kind of make sense to name this cutscene Friendship, where we meet Rex and become friends with him. Or this could just be the bonds of the party strengthening. What is this? Ragmos Desolation. Now, I'm not really sure what this means. I'm probably going to come back at post-production to explain this further, because I forgot to look this up before I started recording, so I might have like a little interjection here in a couple seconds to explain what that actually is. Next, we have Anguish. Anguish, this could be a little bit more backstory on N and some anguish he had about, you know, losing his son, or about the pain he felt. Maybe this is when Mio died for the first time, or M, which Mio, same thing. So maybe this is giving a little backstory on N as like a little side cutscene, like a flash forward, a flashback. Kind of like, you know, we got some cutscenes about N and M, you know, from Noah during what, chapter 5 I think it was, yeah, when Noah's going through all like the whole memory space. So it could be similar to that. Now, next one is called Sister. Sister, this could be talking about, obviously, Matthew's sister, if she's not already in the party as the founder of House Doyle. We could be learning more about the bond between Matthew and his sister. But Yggdrasil proposed that this could be about Tyrea, and this could be like a little Melee arc. I'm not sure how this would tie to Tyrea. He didn't really expand or elaborate on that. But if it is, I'm really hoping so, because I love Tyrea. She's one of my favorite characters from the first game. But I doubt it's going to be anything about Tyrea. But if we do get something, I'm not complaining. The next one is called Raid. And considering the name of the next cutscene, this could be, we're raiding Origin. I'm kind of building off of what Yggdrasil said. We could be raiding Origin. And then the next cutscene is called Core Crystals. So we could be raiding Origin and then finding out about the Core Crystals and how their data processing works, and how Core Crystals could have been used to build Origin and store data. And maybe this is where we meet Pyra and Mithra for the first time, because there's no way Pyra and Mithra were killed off. They have to be in this. There's no way they're not. The most popular characters in the entire series. So we could be meeting Pyra and Mithra here, and maybe that's what it means by Core Crystal. instead of Aegis. They could have named it Aegis, but that, you know, I don't know. But core crystal, we could be raiding Origin and finding all the core crystals, or meeting Pyra and Mithra in core crystal. Maybe they're being held captive like Melly was in base game, and their power is being used to power Origin. So I don't know, that would kind of lead into my theory way back when Xenoblade 3 was announced. I was saying Mithra was being used, like she was being held captive and her power was being used to clone people or run Origin. So perhaps maybe that's what's going on here. Now the next one is called Console from the Past. This could easily be talking about N, considering, you know, all the encounters we've had. And this could be talking about the very first encounter with N that we don't actually see in the game. Or this could be N first becoming Mobius or a console, and it could be talking about, you know, him, Friends from the Past. Or this could be the very first mention of Alvis as console A. And considering, you know, this is close to the end of the game, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that this could be talking about Alvis for the first time. But after that is called Great Grandfather. Now this one's kind of confusing. It most likely has something to do with Matthew, considering in the trailer we did hear him say like killing Granddad wasn't enough for you. But that's Granddad, so this is probably his great grandfather, and he's somehow tied to Matthew. This could be Van Damme from Xenoblade 2. I don't know what this one is. This one kind of has me stumped a little bit. Now, creation of the worlds. This one, I still think is probably about Klaus and how the world was first created, and the party learns about how the worlds were created with Klaus using the Zohar to reset the universe and everything, splitting them into two. So that could be about Klaus. And then the Decider, I was saying, also could be Klaus, since he decided who the, you know, who, or he decided how the world was going to be once he rebuilt it. But the Decider could also be Alvis, since he decided how the Xenoblade 1 world would be, and maybe he decides how this world is going to be, considering Klaus is dead now and the Zohar is gone. Alvis could be running the, you know, Ionios or whatever it was called before the full, you know, merge. So the Decider could possibly be Alvis deciding how the world is going to be run, kind of like Klaus. Or could the Decider could be, you know, the party fights N or some other, you know, Mobius or whoever else, some other enemy, and, you know, it's a very close battle, and the decider of who wins that fight. It's probably more about Alvis, and we could learn more about Alvis. The next one after that is called The Night Before. So it could be the party at a campsite talking about the night before, when they met Alvis or when they were in Origin and had that fight with N or whatever. I think this might be where we first meet Alvis in the, you know, the Decider, and then the night after they resting at a campsite, you know, winding down, talking about their meeting with Alvis, hence The Night Before. And then the Black Mountains, this could be Valak Mountain again. I doubt, because, you know, mountains, but the Black Mountains kind of makes me think it could be Araya or Temperantia, since Araya is all, you know, decrepit. It is kind of black, it lost a lot of its color. Or Temperantia, since, you know, there are kind of like black mountains in Temperantia. The next, it's called Future. This could be a flash forward into base game, showing us, you know, a little bit about what's happening in base game. Maybe the party meeting each other for the first time in Alfeto Valley and becoming Ouroboros, kind of like the cutscene of Mithra having a flash forward to Rex in Torna. So maybe that's something like that. And then the one at the beginning, this is most definitely Alvis. I don't know why I thought it was Klaus, because technically, yes, it is Klaus. He was the one at the beginning, the one left who created the world. That's strictly talking about Xenoblade 2. After Klaus died, Alvis was the only one left. And like Alvis said himself, he was here at the beginning and he will proclaim the end. So the one at the beginning is most definitely talking about Alvis and not Klaus. I don't know why I said that. But the next one is part of the deal. Now this one could be talking about the deal with Melia and Riku, the deal Melia and Riku had, because if you remember in Origin, the cutscene where we free Melia, Riku kind of winks and nods at her and she nods back. So her and, you know, Melia and Riku obviously had some type of bargain or deal going on, and this could be their little talk. And it wouldn't really be too far-fetched considering Melia and Riku would both have been alive during that time, considering Hyenti and Napon can live for a pretty long ass time. So Melia and Riku probably were around at that time. Well, definitely Melia was considering, you know, she created her half of the origin, whatever. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think Riku is there too. Now, next one is called Origins Memories. Maybe this is where we finally meet Pyro and Mithra. I know I just keep pushing it back, but it makes more sense as we go through. Origins Memories could be we meet Pyro and Mithra and we learn about, you know, the memories of Rex and party and learn about the world of Xenoblade 2, and we meet someone else, some Xenoblade 1 character, maybe Alvis, and he tells us about the Xenoblade 1 side, or we just, you know, see the core crystals and learn more about the core crystals and see the memories held inside the core crystals, which would, you know, explain Origins Memories. Maybe it's the memories from each world before the collide, and, you know, while they were building their respective sides of Origin. So maybe that could be that. And then Gondor's Path. This is probably the most confusing one, because I don't know what the hell Gondor would have to do with this, but maybe it's kind of like a Bayonetta case where the name Bayonetta is kind of just like a title in the family and not just, you know, an actual name, because spoilers, Bayonetta's actual name is Cereza and Bayonetta is just a title. So maybe Gondor is just a title and Gondor's real name isn't actually Gondor, or maybe that is her name is just a title, but maybe Gondor is just a title, and that would explain why Gondor's name is here. I don't really see anything else as to why Gondor would be here unless she's a blade somehow, which I really doubt. We haven't seen a core crystal and she's not really from Agnes as far as we know. So this is the only one I can't really explain. I don't know why Gondor would be here. I mean, she does play some importance since she is, you know, a successor to House Van Dam and distantly related to Matthew, but I don't see why Gondor would be here instead of, say, Monica or someone else. Next is called The Ark, and this could be learning more about what's it called, Origin, or maybe this is when the world finally fully merges. Perhaps during the whole game the world was merging but not fully merged yet, so we still had some areas from 1 and 2 together in with Ionios. And then the Ark could be Origin finally going online after the worlds merged. Ignore what I just said, the worlds were fully merged, and this could be the Origin finally going online and, you know, before it gets taken over by Mobius. You know, the Ark, Noah's Ark, I don't know, it might not have anything to do with Noah, but it's a nice detail to at least mention. Klaus's world. This could possibly be a little premonition or a vision of what Klaus's ideal world would have been, the world he wanted to make when he recreated the world, or at least when he uncovered the Cloud Sea at the end of Xenoblade 2, and that was like the real world he wanted to create and the one he had a vision for before he died. And now Nael's dream. Now originally I was thinking Nael could be Galea, and it would make sense because it comes right after Klaus, and Galea's dream was to stop Klaus from using the Zohar to reset the universe and to just fight off the Saberite rebels and keep on living as they did and work to rebuild Earth or rebuild whatever. but obviously we know that didn't happen, and Klaus reset the universe anyway, but it was, you know, Galea's or Niall's dream to stop Klaus. And at the end of, or near the end of Xenoblade 2, at the end of the whole Klaus cutscene called Memories of This Planet, he says something along the lines of, "I wish to face you again, Galea." So maybe this could be somehow Galea meeting again with Klaus in the afterlife. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but it's at least it's something cool and fun to mention. But looking up the definition in the meaning of Na'el, it also means the gift of God, or a gift of God. A lot like Matthew is a gift of Yahweh, and Yahweh is interchangeable with God. Yahweh is just another name for God. So perhaps Matthew's real name is Na'el, and Matthew is some like secret disciple or chosen one, and his real name is Na'el, just like how Pyre and Mithra, their real name is Numa. They are, you know, the Numa core, and before they found that out, they went by Pyre or Mithra respectively. So maybe this is the same with Matthew, where he finally learns that maybe he is Na'el, and he's, you know, has some kind of Ouroboros power inside of him or something. I don't know. I'm not speculating on that right now, but Niall's dream could be a dream Matthew had. Maybe Alvis came to him in a dream, just like he did to Shulk, and whatever. And then the second to last cutscene name is called Alpha, and this could be the final battle against Alvis, and that could be that cutscene we saw with Rex, Shulk, and Alvis. And this could be Rex and Shulk, you know, confronting Alvis before we fight him with the party. And maybe this is Rex and Shulk's first time seeing Alvis, is right at the end before we fight him. You know, is this really what you want? Nothing will get through to him. He's such a heartless machine. So maybe they were learning, heard about this stuff from Alvis, and this is their first confrontation with him. And after that whole cutscene, we fight him. And that's what Alpha could mean, because Alvis is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. So that's most definitely about Alvis in some way. And then the final cutscene is called Release the Power Epilogue. So Release the Power, I'm kind of lost on this one. Maybe it's, you know, the party, you know, realizing the full power of Ouroboros, or the full power of Ouroboros is being released, or Release the Power starting Origin to, you know, free the world or whatever. I'm not really sure what Release the Power could mean. I'm pretty sure it might have something to do with Ouroboros, or it could have something to do with Alvis using his power to do something. Maybe this whole time Alvis was, you know, kind of not even corrupted, but just acting on the collective unconscious, kind of, you know, he is an Aegis core, so maybe he was imprinted on by that collective unconscious, and that's where Mobius came from, and why he was such a heartless machine, because he was, you know, acting out the fear that everybody had, fear and paranoia that everyone had, which led to the creation of Mobius. He could have been manifesting that, and after we fight him, we kind of free him from that back to his normal self, and then he uses his power for something, and then somehow leads into the base game. I don't really know, but yeah, that's really all I got. So whatever's happening, this DLC is going to be insane, and this is going to be the finale to Xenoblade, at least for the Klaus saga. Xenoblade itself isn't over, but at least this is going to be the finale and, you know, closure for the Klaus saga somehow. As a prequel, I don't know how that's gonna work, but you know, it's Monolith, it's Takahashi, they'll somehow find a way. But yeah, that's really about it. And I also noticed, I've been wanting to mention this for like months and months and months, but I always forget. Have any of y'all noticed that I kind of just use Garfont Village as my outro theme? Anytime I end a video, it's almost always Garfont. If you go to any video with music in it and go to the end, you're guaranteed it's always Garfont. It's one of my favorite songs from Xenoblade 2, so I really like that song, so I just kind of use it as my outro. But yeah, that's all the cutscenes that we know of so far, and that's what I think they're going to be about. At least I might, change my mind on a couple later, maybe tomorrow, like I always do. I always forget to mention something after uploading a video, but as of now, that's all. Half an hour long, goddamn, I didn't expect it to be this long, but it's Xenoblade, what do you expect? But yeah, that's really about it. So I mean, let me know if y'all agree, or if y'all think they could mean something different, if I'm stupid because there's, a free, just obvious detail that I didn't notice, which is very common. I'm not known to be the smartest. Alright, I'm just here to spew out my ideas onto y'all, and y'all tell me how dumb I am. But yeah, that's really about it. So as always, thanks for watching. Have a damn good day. Stay safe, be well, and play some goddamn Xenoblade.